Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, Kevin Lopez again from Personal Tutors today. A very fine morning, friends, and a beautiful play by William Shakespeare, that is Julius Caesar. A great Roman general, Julius, was a general with an ego and an architect of modern warfare. He held his place high in the minds and hearts of the Romans. Here, the plot goes ahead and exclaims about him being killed, assassinated by the senators. The play starts with Julius returning back to Rome after defeating the sons of Pompey. He comes back and visits Mark Antony, who impregnates the thought of Julius being the ruler, offers him the crown. Mark, being a very trusted friend of Julius, knew that Julius had the power in him to rule the city of Rome into the modern society and the new era. Thus, he offers Julius the crown so that he may become the ruler. Yet, so kind at heart, so humble and wise, yet strong and divine, Julius goes ahead and denies getting the crown and becoming the ruler of Rome. This play depicts a version of a husband and a wife as well. As the plot 2 starts, it is seen that Julius is roaming around in the room frantically and asking his servant to go ahead and call in a priest because his wife has seen a bad dream thrice about him being killed. He wants the servant to call upon the priest and make an offering to the gods so that his wife may be at peace. Later on, the servant passes on, goes ahead and brings the news that the priests were not able to find the beast to give the serving to the gods, and thus the plot goes. As Julius was trying to get ready to go out, his wife immediately requested him not to go out today since she doesn't believe in omen or dreams, yet this dream was divine and it was something that she's got scared to the bones. She wanted him not to go out today as she had seen the wildest of the dreams that actually show the warriors fighting in the sky up there, the drops of blood falling down, and the land being filled with the red color of the blood. And she sees Julius spilling out blood through his body and people down there drenching in it. Sounds pretty bad. Yet, Julius, a man so wise and strong, denies the fact and goes away. He is actually confronted by Cassius and Brutus. Cassius himself wants to become the ruler, thus plans an assassination attempt on Julius. Marcus Brutus, an idealist, believes in democracy, thus does not want Julius to be the ruler that they perceived would be in the later future. Thus Cassius encompasses Marcus Brutus's faith and they plan a plot. Julius explains to Cassius about the dream, yet he says that it would be certainly, he gives a total different perception about that. He gives the perception of the Romans getting drenched with the knowledge that Julius would be giving. Thus Julius goes. They all have drinks and make merry and have fun. All the conspirators, my friend. And then Julius is confronted by someone who asks him to change a law that has been made, thus raging in anger, and they start stabbing him. Julius Caesar being a wise man, was taken aback at the fact that the last stab that killed him actually was by Marcus Brutus, who happened to be the very beloved friend of Julius. Thus, he fell. To make it simple, friends, Julius was betrayed by the senators. He was given an option to choose between a decision, a dilemma, a pragmatic situation, whether to turn his rule back or to believe in the law that has already been mentioned, thus creating a plot to assassinate him. He comes back. Since he's lying lifeless down, Mark Antony arrives in there and is shocked to see his idol lifeless and motionless. Yet he's scared of the senators. Thus, he wants the people of Rome to know that Julius was assassinated so badly and betrayed by his own friend. Yet, he was scared of speaking to them that they might be killing him as well. Brutus informs Mark not to say anything at the funeral of Julius unless Brutus has spoken to the citizens of Rome. Mark, being a wise man, makes friends with them at the very moment and waits for his chance to come. At the funeral, once Brutus has gone ahead and informed about the demise of Caesar and how he had halted the growth of Rome, people start hating Caesar. Yet, when Mark's moment of grief comes, his words change the minds of the people. He informs them that I have a will that Caesar has written about you, that we'll be explaining later. He informs the people about the great wars and battles that Caesar had won, and today the position of the Empire of Rome stands due to the effort of this great general. He shows them the cloak smeared in blood and the wounds, and finally he reveals the body, thus showing the battered, butchered structure of Julius Caesar. People began to get enraged. They feel sad now. They regret losing a great ruler. Finally, Mark reads Caesar's will. He had given every citizen of Rome 75 pieces of silver from his wealth. He had given his house, his gardens, his halls for the merriment and engagement of people. He had thus mentioned it in his will that this was his plan for the people of Rome. And then he reveals the conspirators as well. People are enraged, ready to kill and butcher Caius and Marcus as well. Yet, Mark makes them remember that they, although were noblemen as well, so it wasn't a need to defy them. Mark had done what he wanted, my friends. Later, Octavius, the great grandnephew of Julius, and Mark form an alliance and defeat Cassius and Marcus in a battle where they commit a suicide. It's an epic written by William Shakespeare, who happens to be a person who has reached the zenith, the epitome of English literature. Thus, reading the chapter would give you different notions and a total different touch of English language as well. We'll have a look at a few question and answers, and thus we can go ahead and plan out the things. Consult the dictionary and find out the difference between killing, murder, and assassination. Killing, my friends, is taking a life in any manner. Murder is killing of another human being, and assassination is a totally different attempt of killing a person at the higher level and planning and thus assassinating is a murder of a person, a nobleman or a higher gentry person. When Kaiser says, "Nor heaven nor earth have been at peace tonight," he sounds, the options are worried, angry, joyous, or frightened. Obviously, nor heaven nor earth are at peace tonight. He sounds a bit worried because his wife had seen a pragmatic dream that had haunted her thrice. Kaiser's reference to the senators as greybeards shows his, obviously it shows his arrogance towards them. The offer that Caesius makes to Antony after Caesar's assassination is that the conspirators would like to be his friends. Cassius knew that Mark Antony could go ahead and change the view of people about the democracy and the democratic scenario that they were planning to bring in the city of Rome and taking out the kingdomship. Thus, they asked Mark to be their friend. Cassius tries to stop Brutus from letting Antony speak at Caesar's funeral, as he knows that Mark Antony could go ahead and change the mindset of the citizens of Rome. What prophecy does Antony make over Caesar's dead body? Caesar lamented on his friend's body and begged pardon from him from being friends and being so afraid and frail of the conspirators. He curses the city of Rome with death, with destruction, with disease. He curses the mothers that they would be seeing their newborn childs dead in their arms and slashed with swords. He curses the senators, the conspirators, to be willing to die but not getting a burial ground. Their bodies would be drenched with wounds and thus would be a horrific situation. After listening to Brutus's speech, the third citizen says, "Let him be Caesar." This clearly shows the citizens really did not understand Brutus's reason for killing Caesar. They did not get a notion of the senators plotting an assassination to create a democracy. In spite of listening to the speech, they were not able to understand the situation that Marcus Brutus was trying to bring in. Thus, they believed in him to become the next Caesar. When Antony calls the conspirators honorable men, his tone is flattering. His tone is really flattering because he knew he had done the wicked game. He had played it. He had made his move. Yet he asked them to be as noblemen because he never wanted the citizen to go ahead and kill them, rather than let them live their agony and pain and deny them the democracy that they wished. Antony's reference to Caesar's conquest of Neville is he wanted to remind the mob about greatness Caesar had, the richness, the wiseness, and the brevity that he possessed. Antony's remark, "Mischief thou art afoot, take thou what course thou wilt," shows him to be, as I said, Mark Antony was a great friend of Caesar, and thus he believed in him. He was a loyal friend. The lines depicted here shows his addiction, his dedication towards Caesar as a friend. How do the heavens blaze forth the death of Julius Caesar? As Caesar lay lifeless, motionless, down on the floor. The watchman sees horrible things in the sky. He finds the sky to be gloomy and red. He finds him to get frightened by the view of blazing sky coming out, as if the fires are burning the great walls of Rome out there. And thus he is really frightened about the cat. It's important here to say that Calpurnia, Caesar's wife, had seen the same view, where the sky was being held as a battleground for the warriors of all the classes fighting in perfect formation, and their blood dripping as rain down to the Rome, thus creating a notion of the dream come true. What does Calpurnia try to convince Caesar of? Calpurnia, being a humble and loyal wife of Caesar, did not want him to go out the very day she had seen the horrific dream. Thus, she convinces him with love, lust, begs him, even cries down, breaks down, and justifies Caesar of being overwhelmed by his overconfidence. Why does Calpurnia say Caesar wisdom is consumed in confidence? Calpurnia knew something bad was going to happen. Yet, she blamed Caesar of being overconfident and not letting his wisdom think about the consequences of going out the day she was stopping him to go out from. What are the arguments put forward Decius Brutus to convince Caesar to go to Capitol? Capitol is a place where the senators usually get together and plan out about the city or the kingdom. The person here, when informed about the dream that Calpurnia had seen, totally misinterprets it and informs Caesar about the knowledge and the wisdom coming out of him and being shedded over the people of Rome. Thus, Caesar was overwhelmed as well. Why is Decius more successful than Calpurnia in persuading Caesar? Decius Brutus, a person who was calling Caesar and was one of the conspirators, was a great flatterer. He chose the right words to speak to the Caesar and lured him to the gathering of the conspirators. Thus, his words were more effective than Calpurnia's. What is the petition put before Caesar by the conspirator, and how does Caesar respond to it? The petition was kept by plumber Simba, who wanted to go ahead and get his brother back from the banishment that Caesar had landed upon. Caesar, being a nobleman and a wise man, obeyed law and denied it, that once the law has been made and a decree has been passed, you cannot change it, thus enraging the conspirators as well. In the moment following Caesar's death, what do the conspirators proclaim to justify the Caesar's death? Once they had brutally murdered Caesar, they start shouting freedom, equality, peace, liberty. These were the words that they were shouting, the slogans, so as to make people remember that killing Caesar was not an assassination, it was a decree of getting Rome out of the rules and entering into a democracy. Friends, this play is a famous play by William Shakespeare that has got a huge effect on English literature. It defines the demise of a great warlord and the merility and deceivance of a good friend, the citizens being frailed by loose and false comments, and a lament of a wife and a friend who later on takes a revenge. If you have any more questions about this play, please comment us below. We would definitely be going ahead and answering you. If you want to know something about personal tutors, just click the button about us. If you want to subscribe the channel, please subscribe us for more information. If you want to get some data online, you can get it online. We can even provide it to you in a pen drive. You can just search for Kevin Lopez from Personal Tutors and you can get all the briefs, all the explanations about the English literature in the NCERT syllabus. Thanking you today for us and the session. Thanks a lot, friends. See you again.